Alright, hello everyone and welcome to AEW Discussion. I'm Ross and AEW Futures Dougie Doug, and today's episode of discussing Dynamite January 31st, 2024 edition. And this was an episode of Dynamite that continued on the road to Revolution. Ultimately didn't really add anything to the pay-per-view. It seems like Dynamite is just kind of in a bit of a holding pattern as it takes away, as it just tries to it just tries to pass time until Revolution. We did get an announcement towards the end that next week Swerve Strickland and Paige will run it back one more time, and the winner will be the number one contender for the world title and get that match at Revolution. And with that, we're going to get right into the action, starting with Jon Moxley versus Jeff Hardy. And this was an interesting combination because these two have been in the ring together, but this was their first singles match. Neither of them is what you would call a conventional wrestler, but that worked in their favor. This wasn't a standard wrestling match, but that didn't stop it from being fun. The charismatic Enigma came close to winning a few times, but the former AEW World Champion put him to sleep to score the win. After the match, 4 luchadors from CMLL attacked Moxley after the match. BCC not in the building, but Moxley was able to get help from a few others from the locker room to clear the ring. Next week, those luchadors will compete against Blackpool Combat Club in a 6-man tag team match, so I guess it wasn't just completely random. I think Bryan Danielson's taking on one of them at Collision. I don't remember the name off the top of my head, but fun match to start off the show. And Moxley continues his win streak while Hardy continues his losing streak and seemingly turns towards the bad guy side. Adam Page versus Leona, and this was a dealer's choice matchup, so Swerve Strickland and Hangman Page got to pick opponents for each other, and Leona was Swerve Strickland's pick. Leona had a decent size and power advantage over Paige, which you would think means that Paige would have the upper hand in speed, but these guys were more evenly matched than perhaps expected based on appearance. This was another hard-hitting fight, but in a different way than Mox versus Hardy. Leona has competed in many matches in both Ring of Honor and AEW, but that's usually in tag team action. This was a rare singles opportunity for him, and he certainly presented himself as a hurdle for Hangman Page to clear, a hurdle that he did indeed cleared. Couldn't do it with a buckshot lariat, but still managed to do it with a crucifix win. So impressive showing from Leona here. Page picks up another win and basically keeps himself locked with Swerve Strickland at the top of the rankings, which is what leads to the huge match next week to determine who will be number one contender. Deonna Purrazzo versus Taya Valkyrie, and these are two competitors who have a lot in common despite taking different approaches. Valkyrie, confusing her with Valkyria. Valkyrie is all about flash over substance, but Purrazzo calls herself the Virtuosa because she prides herself on being one of the best technical tacticians in the world. Those differences aside, both women are skilled and powerful competitors who can throw stiff strikes and bend their opponents in different holds. Purrazzo scored a win and took some time to taunt Toni Storm from the ring. So, Purrazzo's quest to become number one contender continues. I'd imagine this is probably a planned match for Revolution, Purrazzo versus Storm for the AEW Women's World Title. And as for Valkyrie, to be honest, I completely forgot she was on the AEW roster, but I guess it's good that they brought her back, although we could go without her making out with her husband on TV. Could go without that, instead opt for more just Taya Valkyrie on AEW TV competing, so I guess good to see her back. And the main events were Strickland versus RVD, Rob Van Dam, and as expected, this match quickly turned into a series of weapon spots and moments designed to pop the crowd as soon as Paige revealed the stipulation, which was that this match would be our core match. The headlocks and drop toe holds went out the window. This didn't come close to level of brutality compared to some of other Strickland's hardcore bouts, but it still had its charm. The crowd popped for RVD, clearly showing their love for him. And also popped from signature moves as well, like the Rolling Thunder. Brian Cage ran interference, but Hook came out and evened the score for his one-time tag team partner. After a handful of near falls for both men, Strickland would get the win with a square stomp. As I talked about earlier too, that win keeps him at the top of the rankings tied with Hangman Page. And as for RVD, good to see him back in in-ring action in AEW as well, and he did pretty good, pretty well for himself to keep up with Swerve Strickland in a hardcore match. Not that I was concerned that he lost it, but you always do wonder how somebody at the age of 53 in a hardcore match is going to hold up against a younger competitor, but they made it work, just like Jericho and Fletcher. Despite the age difference, still turned out to be a decent match, just like this one. In conclusion, this was a solid episode of Dynamite in terms of the overall quality of the matches, but something was missing. Every bout on the card had its upside, but a lot of them felt similar in tone. There wasn't really any technical clinics or spot fest. Instead, there was chaos. But it was the usual AEW chaos that sometimes just doesn't feel all that special. Leona and Paige may have edged out everything for best match of the night, but there's also a case to be made for Moxley versus Harley or Swerve versus RVD. AEW is in the middle of a lot of stories right now, so they're in a bit of a holding pattern. So are the fans. Everybody's in a bit of a holding pattern when it comes to AEW until we get closer to Revolution. Well, a lot of these storylines will start to wrap up, and also, when the Revolution card starts filling out. And with that will conclude this episode of AEW Discussion. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button down below.